Hey, how's it going, everybody? Souls44 here, playing some Mods 10. Um, First things first, I'm going to be wrapping up this, I guess this series, this group of videos, within the next, by the end of this month, it'll be 100% done. Like, I don't care whether I complete it or not. I can't keep going. I know I'm at the end of the month. I'm at the very beginning of the month, so that gives me a little bit of time. But I'm just saying, I want some input from everybody. What mod pack is it that you want me to try? Do you want me to keep going with this Minecraft thing, or do you want me to switch over to Magic the Gathering? Would you like to see some Skyrim? Maybe a little bit of another video game of any kind? What did you suggest? What would you think would be fun to make fun of me and laugh and poke fun, or to listen to me gripe about playing? Or what would you suggest as fun? I just want to have a little bit of fun, but I'm getting tired. This pack is really beating me up. I did a lot of stupid mistakes, and I didn't know about some stuff. And today we're just gonna cover my mechanism stuff because it seems like mechanism has been the one that really got me, and I really feel bad because I've used mechanism since it first spawned out into existence, and then now I'm sitting here struggling with it. Not necessarily what I'm looking at right now. This is going to be an area for roots, I think. I just want to green it up and yeah, just do some stuff with roots. Roots is one of those things I need to work on. I have absolutely forgotten how roots works, but I don't think it'll be that difficult to get it back um, and get it going. I just decided to go ahead and start building this area just so that I could have it ready to go by the time that I actually remember how to do it. Yeah. See, you just put stuff in there, you use this on it, and then boom. That's just a placeholder. I like Roots. I really do. I think it's a very underrated mod, and a lot of people will shy away from it. Kind of, I guess that's how people feel when they hear me talk about blood, evil craft, and the blood collecting, and you know, the the different types of mods that I've got. I've basically been forced to. What's making that sound? Oh, I'm so close to the time chamber that I'm hearing that the exchangers. Um, yeah. So, all right, we're gonna talk mechanism today. That's it. I just want to talk mechanism. Mechanism's not difficult. It's just well, it's not very tedious. It can get tedious, and so I'll explain by going in, and I hope that my reactor doesn't blow up. I do have a reactor. I have it turned off. Okay. Um, but I'm going to go through mechanism because I think that people deserve a little bit of clarity about mechanism. Mechanism is absolutely OP. First of all, osmium weapons, tools, and armor they already are superior in almost every way. Then I mean they're right up there with diamond. I mean they're easy to get, right? But let's talk about mechanism. Hopefully you guys are interested in learning a little bit about it, and maybe that's something that I needed to do a while ago. The first thing that I do when I get mechanism, of course, is to get the osmium stuff and a decent supply amount of osmium, and also you want to get a decent supply of redstone because early mechanism actually can be powered through redstone. A lot of people don't know that, even people that would be considered experts at it. If you put redstone up here in this little electrical bolt looking icon area, that how many? Oh, I made it. I made room in this bad boy for a lot. Let's take that. Okay, well, I got it down, so let's slow it down some. I want to lower this number down. I don't need it to be making that much. My uranium is going to run out if I do that. But you can use this little lightning bolt spot. You can actually put redstone in it, and it'll charge and power your stuff. And one of the first things that you want to make, of course, is the alloys and the basic circuits, the control circuits. Your other stuff will come about. Whoa, is that going down or up? It's going up. Okay, so I'm getting more refined obsidian somewhere. That's interesting. Some of it's going down. Maybe it's being used. That's probably being used. So you want to get your basic alloys, your infused alloys, your basic circuits. And so you're going to want, what the heck? Oh, it started making the what you call it, the induction cell stuff. That's what it was. I canceled the making of that. But if you notice, you'll see that I'm processing redstone and diamond and stuff like that constantly right now. And that's because I have this system continually pulling and making alloys in different circuits for various different craps, right? That's what this is all about. But if you can get some steel and you can get some osmium, you don't really need a whole lot. You can really push this, you can push yourself forward pretty quick when it comes to power, when it comes to processing. You don't need to do the 5-tier processing, yada yada stuff, even though in this pack it's been highly, highly pushed on you. It's not necessary. You don't have to do it. But under the mechanism tab, you're going to see some stuff that's going to come up that you might be confused about. If you have questions or you're confused about it, let me know. I could probably clarify it. It may seem like I'm not a big fan of mechanism, but I really, really am. What the heck? Really? The HDPE pellets? The pellets. I actually don't have the pellets. Um, I'm a huge fan of it. Matter of fact, I'm an overly fan of it, and I fear very often, look at that I'm going to jump into mechanism and just get involved in mechanism, and that ends up taking over my whole entire game. Because very often it does. No offense to anyone that loves it, but it's a little too much sometimes. Mechanism, for the most part, is probably the best machine mod in my opinion. I think it does the greatest amount of the variety of stuff that you basically want to do. However, it goes about it in a very long, drawn out way sometimes, and it can get people very frustrated, like myself, even, especially if it comes to siding, like the sides of different stuff and how they function. Figuring out how to get this to output properly and know what kind of fluids it takes can get daunting and can really stress you out. Um, I did rebuild my fission reactor, in case anybody's wondering. This is exactly how it was set up, except for I've taken the redstone cable off because I believe I know what happened and why it wrecked. I also replaced these because that could have been a cause. They were pipes, but now they are going to be the ultimate mechanical pipe. They really were the pipes from Pipe Z mod. All right, so let's go through this process step by step. Hopefully, I have enough time to do it all. And then I'll try and go a little further if I got time to finish up. So you're going to start off. This one wants you to get your osmium and your experience, obviously, and then it goes right into generating heat. I hate that. I don't like this at all. Like it goes right into that. It shouldn't. It really should just go straight into the metallurgic infuser. And if you don't know how to set up a metallurgic infuser, um, that's going to be the end of it for you. If you can't set up the triple or even more than that, actually it should be 4 metallurgic infusers, then you're going to run into some serious issues. You're not going to be able to complete mechanism. It really is that big of a deal. But you really want to get 3 of these things going. You want to make sure, if you look, that you can get the alloys. Like the first one you want to get, of course, is this. This is a changed recipe. It was originally, I believe, it was iron and redstone. I'm almost 100% sure it used to be iron and redstone, but I love the change. I think it's great. Moved it to copper, but you're going to want a constant feed of redstone going into your system. You don't need a basic chemical tank. I don't care for that being in there. It's not necessary. What you really want to do is have an enriched redstone, which is what my system is constantly producing right now. Um, and all you have to do for that is just have an enrichment chamber, right? And all it's going to do, though, you can put regular redstone in there, but you're just going to run like one of these enrichment chambers, put some redstone in it. It's going to come out this weird looking nugget. That weird looking nugget can be used inside what they call the extra, right? Like once again, I wish they wouldn't do this, but you'll see it say extra. Okay, so it's yellow-ish, banana yellow, or whatever. I hate yellow. Um, but that's what's going to go there. So your first thing you're going to do is going to want to fill this thing with redstone. It doesn't have to be enriched, but it does need to be redstone. Then you're going to get your alloys together. Okay. In this case, well, I got a ton of these. I don't have power, but let's give it some power. In fact, for this, I can go ahead and run a point and then some cables, which is something you're going to want to get to is the cables and stuff, because the cables are really powerful. If you don't have a mod pack like this where it's like all the different types of energy stuff, your choices are pretty limited. Mechanism's going to probably be the way to go, because you're going to get your power, you're going to get your fluids, you're going to get your gases, you get your chemicals, all of which are needed for the mod, but are highly useful, almost always useful for other mods. So it's kind of invaluable if you really look at it that way. Because let's say you don't care for the pipe Z mod, you can get almost a good enough, almost the same result with this right here. All right. Now there are some debate on the cables being good and bad, and then having their own inventory, that kind of thing. Because you're looking at this machine here as okay, this piece of pipe here. It actually has energy within it, and if you break it, you lose that energy. So there is a thing with that. I know. Either way, you're going to want to get your alloys. Your alloys are going to get your energy tablets, and your energy tablets are then going to be used to make your solar generation, which doesn't sound like a great amount, but if you really look at it, it's kind of a lot. And it has its own built-in battery. If you notice, it has 38.4 thousand FE, right? K is thousand. And so it already has a small battery built into it. So it comes with the battery, which, pardon me, but I think their math is kind of stupid, right? But, that's just me, because it has how much in the battery? Right. So then why doesn't this one have? You know what I'm saying? You get where I'm going with that, right? Like it should have the same amount as the battery. If you're gonna force the recipe to have a battery, you should probably force it to that. You can get scuba tanks and stuff. I don't use a scuba tank. I'm sure it's great, but you're also gonna be able to get basic chemical tanks. You don't need that at the very beginning, but you definitely need to get a tank. Okay, I would say this is the best tank because it's a bucket on top of a tank, and it holds 32, and it's the easiest thing. It's just 4 iron and 4 redstone. So yeah, I kind of didn't do that at the beginning. I probably should have, to be quite honest with you. Um, but these tanks, it's easy to make little tank. Let me use this one since for some reason it doesn't stack. That means it has MBT. If you hold scroll or hold shift and scroll, you can turn it to bucket and bucket off. So you can actually make it like a bucket, and it holds up to 32 buckets. That's one more piece of iron, and 4 redstone will get you 32 times the carrying capacity of a regular thing, a regular bucket. And to me, a bucket is one of the most powerful items in all of Minecraft. It allows you to do a lot of stuff. You can clutch fall, you can do all kinds of water collection, lava collection. You can cook food with lava. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Buckets are very useful, highly underrated items. But everybody that really plays hard, they know it's going to be one of the things that they want to do. They want to get a bucket. So that's going to be the best bucket you can get for your dollar almost in the whole pack. I think it's even cheaper than this one, yeah. And this is just a fluid tank. It's not even a bucket, right? So you got your metallurgic infusers, and then you got your stages and tiers of metallurgic infusers. So like this is the basic one that's like level 1. But you also want to get your other alloys too. So don't forget that. So the next alloy you're going to get is going to be, I think it's your reinforced alloy. And that's going to be the same thing, a metallurgic infuser, but then it's going to be the infused alloy, but it's going to be diamond inside. Same thing. You enrich some diamonds, and this is where a lot of people will probably run into some issues, right? Because if your mod pack isn't set up to where you can gain a lot of diamonds, this could be make it or break it for the mod. So remember, if you have Mekanism, you're going to want to make it so that you have enough to get to the next tier of item. You can't really get the digital miner without having the enriched diamonds. And I say enriched diamonds because just using crushed diamonds will work. You can crush diamonds up and put them inside there. It's totally a thing. Like that's not, you don't have to use, yeah, so you can just use crushed diamond. So it's just more efficient. And to be honest with you, I didn't start off that way. I should have, but you should definitely use enrichment. So your first steps are going to make a metallurgic infuser and then make you the basic enrichment factory. This is the ultimate one after it's been upgraded. And as you notice, each one uses its previous predecessor to grade up, right? So the next thing you're going to go through is you're going to make yourself your atomic alloys. And again, this is going to be a combination though. This is refined obsidian. So we go redstone, diamond, refined obsidian. Now, refined obsidian, if you can get to refined obsidian, you've already one step away from making some of the most powerful beginning armor that you can get in the whole entire mod pack and the whole entire game most of the time. And that's refined obsidian armor. But you want to get enriched obsidian. The thing about it is it has to be a combination. So you're going to need another metallurgic infuser to create the refined obsidian. So you actually need 4 just to really get to the last alloy. So you really need 4 infuser. Well, yeah, you need 4 infusers. This is really not even going to get me to the end. Like I'm going to need, let's see, I need to get refined diamond, refined obsidian. I don't think I even set up a refined obsidian machine. I think I just been collecting it forever. So diamond. Well, I have some diamond dust. Here we go. We can go ahead and make 100 of these. Now, I already have all this on AutoCraft. My base has already been set up for I don't know how long. And oh yeah, it's being used as soon as it's being created. But basically, you get the idea. So I got my diamond dust in here, right? Let's just go ahead and throw all it in there, and you get a good return. I think it's a fairly decent return. Yeah, it's definitely using it up. So it's trying to fill. I have a drawer that's dedicated to the different um, enriched items, and it's keeping it full. So it's constantly crafting those, and I'm burning through it. Like it's gonna catch up eventually, of course, but I'm burning through all those pretty quickly. All right, so now we've got the diamond. I can't spell alloy today. That mechanism. Let's just do that. Why is my finger slipping? So you can either set up a metallurgic infuser for specifically for this process, right? Which is fine. I mean, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. I used to do that myself, but now I have it set up so that I can get either or. And so that what I mean by that is for crushed. Obsidian, just under obsidian. Let's see, obsidian dust, right? So I just happen to have some obsidian dust left laying around, probably from a canceled craft. Yeah, so I think it's probably a good idea to have one metallurgic infuser set up for just this process, and then one set up for just changing infused alloy into the next alloy. I have it set up so that you can do either or right now, and it just because it goes into a barrel, and like as long as it can take the item, it will take it. So what I means by that is if the item won't go through the recipe, my setup says it'll just sit in the barrel or it'll sit in the drawer, and it won't export out because it has to be able to go into it. Like you can't put more items in here right now. I can't shift click more of these in here. It won't let me. It just sits there and goes back and forth because this is full. So it bases the principle is basically I'm going to only allow items in that meet the criteria of becoming the end item. That's hard to that's really actually a difficult way of putting it. It basically put it this way: I have a pipe set dedicated only to the infusing of copper. I have a pipe set dedicated to the use of the diamond, right? So the ones that have diamonds, either this or this, notice it won't run unless this is pulled. That's important. Either one of these will be sent to that because I have it set for that. Right? Only those will go into those machines. That's how I made mine automated. Was I just said, look, if it can go in here, it can go in here. If it can't go in here, it just sits there and waits until there's room in the other machine, which could lead to hangups. I can't deny that. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We have our refined obsidian dust. As soon as I shift click, it immediately goes to the spot for the extra because it can't go in here and it can't go in the end. So it's already there. It's pretty good. Now, these alloys are then used to make these circuits. But the basic circuit, once again, is redstone, but this time it's with osmium. So you can have one of these, which is always full with redstone, which is what I have, and they have an ultimate version of it. So it's like it has a lot of room and it can go really fast. And then if I choose, it inputs the item into the process that I need. So it'll send copper in or it'll send osmium in. And that way I can get the basic control circuit when I ask for the control circuit versus the other items. Now this bronze thing, I didn't know you could do that. I did know, but I forgot you could do that. It's crazy. And then I never set up one for carbon, so that's why I have a machine that's specifically dedicated to just doing that because I didn't realize I was going to need it, but I do need, where is it? These are all just different machines. That's the HDPE. Oh, that one's making tritium and whatnot. There. This one's set up where this enrichment factory is pulling from my dimensional chest that I had dedicated to just coal. And it basically makes it so that your coal, well, it's enriched. It means it lasts longer. It counts as more points. And it's going to keep this infusion thing full whenever I request or need anything infused with this. I can do that, which is going to be iron and iron dust, etc. Make sense? Cool. I have a sender that's attached to this machine from the other dimension. So if I say, hey, I need some enriched, oh, it's already got some, right? So if I tell it, it's going to send. It should send here. Aha. I am having a chunk load issue. Well, I'm also making one of these really big infinity drives for endstone. So that might be another thing it's hung up on, but I don't know. Crafting 12. It didn't send anything. Okay. Here I am thinking, I really think there is a chunk load issue. Because that sounds like what it's doing. That seems to be what's going on here. When you can get to the atomic alloy, and we'll just talk about that. So once you get to the atomic alloys and you get your energy tablets and you've got your power, you can get your storage for your power. You can make your Robot. This is a little buddy. He'll follow you around. You can use him like a walking chest. I don't really know of anybody that uses him that much. To be frank, I think it's kind of like an old relic that should be removed. Don't get mad at me. I think it's a cute little thing that people like to look at for a little bit and then they just lose it or it falls away or it becomes lost or something happens to it. It's just not. I don't know. I don't ever keep it around. I usually tell it to go to the charging station and then just drop it off. But these wind generators, on the other hand, I have a lot of those. I love those things. You can make the induction cell and the induction casing for the bare minimum basic one pretty early, as long as you. I mean, look, it's just steel, which steel is in this pack. It's actually not that hard to get. But with enriched coal, which this is supposed to be doing, you basically enrich the iron, and it becomes enriched iron, right? That's the thing. But then you do it again, and now it becomes steel dust. Okay, so now you got your steel. With that, then you can really move on to the rest of the mod. That's what really, really pushes the mod along. The fact that it's not sending it makes me a little concerned that the other world's not fully chunk loading. And that might explain a little bit what's going on with my my reactor, what happened to my reactor. No, my reactor was not set up improperly. It was running just fine. In fact, it's cooling down still. Even though it's been destroyed and rebuilt, it's magically just needed to be. I was controlling it, I think, is the issue, the big one, using redstone cables. And I love them from Ender.io, I do. But I think the filter fell out. I mean, what I mean by filter fell out is I like pipes has an issue with it. I know that for sure. At some point, these little upgrades, they're not doing it now, but originally when I had it, the upgrades sometimes they would just not be in there, and or the connection would be lost, and I don't know what that was all about. So that's why I opted to use a lot of the mechanical pipes and such with the systems from Mekanism because that's what they're made for. So the chances of them messing up were less. That's my thought. But so when I do my reactor, I have this set for activation from a redstone signal, right? So powered, so it activates the reactor when powered. That's no different than you throwing a lever on there, right? Just to show you. Turns the reactor on. Turns the reactor off. Now, since the reactor is up and running, I'll go ahead and show you that since I'm in here, and I wanted to, I know I'm going really fast, but I wanted to talk to y'all about what happened. If you click on, this is one of the things I don't care for. I wish they would allow you to make edits to the UI, the user interface. It's on the front here. I can't do anything. I click on it. It tells you some data, right? But that's it. It just tells you with what you put in and what comes out. Nuclear waste and steam. If I put sodium in here, right, which is a better coolant, see, it doesn't even give you the information on the coolant here. But on here, it gives you coolant efficiency 100%. Whatever heck, thermal enthalpy. Is that supposed to be entropy, but it's enthalpy? It's a different type of entropy? I don't know. That's a different word. I don't know that word. Anyway, you can use sodium to cool it, and it's better at cooling. That's all I know, right? But your output's going to then be superheated sodium, and I don't know for sure if that's like a important item or thing to have. Liquid superheated sodium. Anyhow, I want to show you guys this regular with water, okay? Just with water. This little icon up on the left where it says stats is a big mistake on Mekanism's part. It really should say something like options or some kind of like controls or something, because when you click on it, that's where you're going to get to change your burn rate. Your burn rate is changed by the set rate limit right here. Now, according to this, max burn rate is 18 millibuckets a tick, and my current burn rate is 0. So if I turn it on, it shouldn't burn anything. But oh my gosh, look at it burn. You get what I'm saying? So there is definitely some miscommunication on how that actually works that I don't quite understand. So I can't pretend like I know the nuclear part of it. It's just kind of cool. But when you change your burn rate, you can change how much you're going to get out of it. Like the amount of, well, both steam in this case, right? Because you get steam and also nuclear waste. And then the nuclear waste is actually what you're really looking for, and that's what's getting pumped out of here. And you have to have these ports set for waste. Like that's an actual, use the wrench on it or the configurator on it, and then you can change it for waste. This is set for steam. I actually call it heated coolant because right now it's steam, and that's basically just getting pushed into the this turbine right here through this setup. Um, a lot of people are probably wondering how to make the Mekanism steam turbine. It's not exactly intuitive. The quest book does give you a decent idea on how to do it, but they don't really, I don't know, you can see it right here. All right. And they left it open on the top. I like how they did that so that you could see it. Um, but you got to look at what your different pieces of the turbine are. Okay. Matter of fact, just for this part, because I know that if I don't do this early on, everybody's going to be like, well, I don't even want to see the rest of this video. All right, so the rotational complex, did I just drop it? Please tell me it didn't. Okay. You only need one, and then you put it on top of the rotor, right? That just makes sense to me. Hopefully that makes sense to you as well. But you have your blades. Your blades are just clicked onto the rotor, and they actually will fill up the rotor by itself, depending on how high it is, how big of the machine it is, and the blades will get bigger and bigger. It's a neat looking little design. But then you got your pressure dispersers. So if you think about it like in real world, like if you have something rotating around, right, and it's gaining heat from it rotating, and it has a lot of pressure built up, it would be the layer where the pressure is touching the steam. So imagine that this whole thing is just full of steam, and these are the pressure dispersers. So they spread the pressure around to make it so that it spins the blades evenly, if you just think of it that way. So you want to have the rotational complex on the same level as the pressure dispersers. The next thing you're going to want to do is layer it with the magnet, right? Because the magnet is where you're getting your power. In real life, I could actually give you the schematics on how to build an actual motor, but it's really functionally no different. It's always steam that powers everything, and it's based on a sine wave of plus and minus 180-degree rotation. So you're basically, as the rotation goes up, you're going to go up on your sine wave, which is positive power, right? Let's think of it that way. And then as it goes down, it's in the other direction, right? It's just going to keep going up and down. You're going to get your positive and negative. Now, I won't go into how you flip and invert that and then flatline it, but there is actually a real easy way to do that. But they're just being basic. And they're saying magnetic coil around the outside, as it spins, it's creating power. Okay, just think of it that way. So that's going to be on your next layer, and you don't have to have it full. I don't think you do anyway, but I've never been able to build one of these where this has not been maxed out, where this layer isn't 100%, which in this case would be 9 blocks of magnets. The next thing you're going to have is a saturation condenser. Now that's something that they even made up to help you recollect the steam as it's being used, right? So the steam would go up into the saturation condenser, and then it's turned back into water. And then that water can then be pumped back into the reactor, and it creates an infinite cycle. I'm not going to bother doing that because you have to have it mathed out just right for that to work. And then on your sides, you have your vents, and it tells you what's in here. Like, it tells you there's steam inside here right now. Not a lot, like very little, not enough to make it turn, but there is some steam in there. And the vents basically let you choose to vent out the extra steam instead of you turning it back into water, right? So on the side here, you'll see it says idle. Then you can have it dumping excess. Right? It says dumping excess steam, water will not be recycled. So basically the water doesn't come back. That works great. Then you have dumping, where there, of course, water's not going to come back, but you're also not building up any more steam either. Okay, so like this little tiny bit of steam is just going to go away. And then you have your idle, where it's just going to sit here and collect, but it's also it's going to activate all your power is going to be like compressed into the cylinder, right? And that's going to get your steam going really, really high. Once you get it going high enough, I think it's possible for you to create an infinite loop between the fission reactor and the turbine, and it would just keep on feeding it water, and that water is then recycled into the steam, and the steam generates a ton of energy, and then you just, yeah, that's how you're supposed to create the energy with this system, as far as I know. But if you want to know your ins and outs, this is your ins and outs. This is basically going to tell you, hey, look what it can produce. A max production of 1.49 million FE a tick. That is a lot of power. A lot of power. And this isn't like something that you can do right away. You're going to have to work towards getting the fission reactor going, but you could technically build this steam structure, the steam generator, with any steam that's available. So there are mods that create steam other than boiling with the fission reactor. But getting one of these that's maxed out, for instance, extreme reactors can actually run this thing. And I will be doing that here shortly because I have determined I need to run. I got to do extreme reactors in order for me to get enough the ludocrite and all that other stuff for the rest of the final star. That's not part of this video. So yeah, you can see what its capacity is. You see what its flow is. You can see what its maximum amount of energy you can get out of it. And you can also, you can show if you, wait, hold on. There, how many coils are there, right? I don't know if you can make multiple layers of coils. I don't know. But you can see what limits it too, right? So it says 24 vents. That's limiting the output of the flow, right? And the blades. Well, if the blades are limiting, that's because the blades, it could be taller. It's just, that's what it's saying, is it could be taller. And these vents, I think I could probably put another layer of vents, but I don't know. Let me take a look. No. Okay, so the vents can never go up on the same level as the saturation condensers. They got to be below it. Yeah, they got to be below it. So I could make this taller, and then it would be able to be more vents added. I think I could actually run vents below the pressure dispersers, but I don't know. I don't know. We could try real quick. Can't hurt. I don't have anything else to do. So what if I did this? I mean, obviously it works there, right? And you see the little formation crystal. Whoa, whoops. Me and my over the top. Let's turn that off. The only reason why I'm alive right now is because I'm wearing a hazmat suit. So yeah, don't try and make a reactor unless you really know what's up. You can end up really hurt yourself. All right, let's just say I have two of those. Will it work? No. And I don't think if I had three it would work either. I think it has to be on the same level, or it has to be in this like range. I don't know. There's probably other configurations set up. I'm not too sure. I was just curious. Yeah, and if you notice in the book, it shows one of the magnets there. So I think it's also possible that you can lower it down one row and have this on the same level as the magnet, the condensers. But I've never run it like that. I have this whole level, so that way you can get more energy. The more magnets you can make work, the more energy you get from it. Back to the reactor, because I'm gonna have to turn it back on eventually anyway. Yeah, you could just turn it on and off with the lever. Or what I was doing was this, which is totally legit, right? Like, so on this side here, if it reaches a high temperature, I want it to send a signal over to this one to turn it off. Well, in this case, a signal turns it on. So I want the opposite. In order to get the opposite, you can create what's called a NOT filter. In other words, when the conditions are right for this to be on, or the lever is to be switched, right? The the system will be off. It basically reverses the direction of whether those redstones on or not. That's what not is, okay, in a circuit. So in other words, right now it's on. You see it turn the whole entire thing on because the conditions are not high temperature. Get it? Not high temperature signal on. The only reason why it's not working is I have it like this. And that's it. So what happens is that was very frustrating when it just happened right there. What happens is when this heats up, when this thing gets to high temperature, right? When this reaches a high temperature that's critical, it will then turn that signal off, turning off the reactor. Um, Unfortunately, what I didn't know was that every time it reaches that extra heat to turn that the temperature off, or turn the reactor off, it does a little bit of this damage percentage. And so it was sitting at the point where it was like going on and off, and it was just ticking up that percentage points. And once it got to 100%, kablooey, right? It blew up. And I lost, basically, you lose a lot of the components of what's inside the machine. You don't lose necessarily the fissile fuel or the water for some reason, but you do lose like the ports and some of the and all the internal organs are gone. And of course, you create a ton of radiation flowing out into the world, and it apparently it dissipates after a period of time. It has a decay system on it now. It didn't used to, but and now it does. It has a working decaying system. And then then you're pumping. I pump my reactor waste using pressurized tubes, okay, and into this solar neutron activator, which I thought you could just place on the port itself. No, you can't. It won't work, or it didn't for me. That's going to collect your nuclear waste. That nuclear waste is then converted into something else, right? Polonium. It becomes polonium. Now, you mix that polonium with your fluorite dust, and you get, oh, wait, what is it? Polonium pellets? Yeah, you get the polonium pellets, right? Basically, you're turning the liquid into a solid by mixing it with fluorite dust, and basically that's like a coagulating thing to make your pellets. Just think of it that way. Then it also creates nuclear waste, like unusable spent nuclear waste, and I just have that going into the trash can, which in this case, it looks like it left a little bit sitting there. Kind of weird, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, works for me though, right? Like at least it throws it into the trash can. You don't have to worry about storing it. I do have nuclear waste cans in this pack. Is it waste? Yeah, I made 10 of them. Uh, I think some of them. No, I don't think any of them have anything in them right now. But I was storing it up um, as a buffer, and I might do that again because if any one of these gets full and the reactor's still running, it backs up in the reactor. Reactor takes damage. The reactor blows up. The isotopic centrifuge takes your nuclear waste and turns it into plutonium. Okay, that plutonium is then ran into here, mixed with fluorite dust, becoming plutonium pellets. So you got your two different pellets here and here. I have them separated because I don't want them to accidentally mix, but you probably could figure out a more efficient way of doing this than I did. And again, it creates spent nuclear waste, and you have that go inside the trash, or in barrels for somebody to pick up and die with because somebody did that to me as a joke, and that was terrifying. They threw a nuclear waste can at my feet, and I was like, "What?" And then you automatically pick stuff up, right? Well, I wasn't in a hazmat suit. You know what I'm talking about. It traumatized me. It traumatized me, I swear. All right, so that's the easy part. To be honest with you, that's the easy part, setting that part up. The hard part is going through the process of getting all this stuff made, right? So obviously we need fluorite dust to make those pellets. I have a ton of fluorite. Fluorite's going into a crusher. The crusher is heading over to the entangler etc. But we also need fluorite to make hexafluoric acid from sulfuric acid mixing with the fluorite. So you're going to tell me, okay, well, that means I need to make hydrofluoric acid and I have to make uranium oxide to make uranium hexafluoride. Yeah. So you have to break through and get through all of these different processes. I made each one of these its own little cube. So my uranium oxide is here, my uranium hexafluoride's here, chemical sulfuric acid's here, and of course I have my oxygen. So all of this is basically just processing. Sulfur is getting pushed into this side with oxygen, and it creates the trioxide, the sulfur trioxide, and that's mixed together again with sulfur trioxide with water vapor, right? Which is just water that's been decondensator. It's been decondensed. Get it? It's been basically pulled apart by a vacuum. Like water that's been vacuumed so hard that it started to steam on its own. That's the way I think about it, right? Like so that's basically this machine is like it can either condense things or it can expand basically it's a vacuum chamber or a pressure chamber, whichever one you have it set for. I have it set for to depressurize water, which just comes from a sink, right? So that's how you get your water vapor. You mix that in, that becomes one chemical. It goes into here. You get the idea, right? Yeah, it's a long process, and you have to get the siding correctly and everything. Then you have your uranium, which if you enrich it in real life, it's called enrichment. It's done a lot differently, but this is actually a really good representation of how to enrich uranium because then it becomes yellow cake uranium, which is being stored in this poor drawer here, and then shoved over into a chemical oxidizer to become uranium oxide, which is then inside the entangler, which is then pushed over here and added to this mixture here, which will get your uranium hexafluoride, which is then put into here. Now your uranium hexafluoride then goes into a isotropic centrifuge, which is what they do in real life as well, is they centrifuge your nuclear components, and it will then make it usable for fuel at certain rates, etc. Like there's a lot of math. Don't get me into that one. That's a little bit past what I understand. So that becomes your fissile fuel, right? And your fissile fuel is just another way of saying fission fuel. So that's how I remember that. And I have that going to that quantum entangler porter, and that goes into this one right here, which goes into the machine all on its own. It pushes right into it and keeps your fission fuel full. And then you cool it off with your quantum entangler porter that has water, or cool it off with your water from the sink or whatever infinite water supply that you've got. Remember that each side of this thing could have a limit depending on the mod pack, meaning that one side can pull only 10,000 buckets a second, where the other side pulls 10,000 sides a second. You get the idea. It may be limited, right? It may be restricted to only one bucket per side. So then you want to hook it up to as many sides as you can to get as many inputs as you can. This is true for these ports, okay? These ports can only input so much water per port. And since I didn't make this thing anemic as they wanted me to, and that was with the reactor having only a few of these reactor rods in there, I filled it up. I needed more water to keep it cool. Okay? And then I just basically said, all right, let's set the waste to output onto these and go into this. Now the solar neutron activator, I screwed up. I thought it was always daylight in here. It's not always daylight in the mining dimension, and so it has issues where it won't run unless it's actually I guess it needs sunlight to run, hence the name Solar Neutron Activator. I guess I didn't figure that out like I should have, but basically that's how you get your pellets. So that's where we're at, guys. It's a big leap to go from alloys like this to all these crazy machines, but really it is just tearing yourself up over and over again. And like what I mean, like, is going from one tier to the next. And I mean, oh, I don't have anything in it for it to go. But you get the idea. Like, this is the basic setup. You'll have 4 or 5 of these probably by the time you really get going. But once you get these things running and you have it set up, you can configure your own automatic process where you don't even really need you don't have to have applied energistics or refined storage. You can just have a barrel that's set up where, like, okay, when I want to make something, I just throw the items in the top, it goes in, it comes out the other item, right? That's the idea. I just have to have all this stuff hooked up to Ender to applied energistics so that I can control its inputs and outputs and everything else. Now that this has been explained fairly well, I guess, to some degree, if you guys have questions about, well, how did you get from here to that? I can show you. Not a problem. Just ask in the comments. I will be more than happy to respond. I love responding to my very few people that watch my videos. So I'm going to activate this thing. Yeah, I'm turning it on so you guys can see it run. And the key is what you're looking at right now is this temperature, okay? As you see, it says heat rate, and it's kind of flickering. There shouldn't be anything really controversial about what's going on here. I don't have a lot of space, and the temperature's not going anywhere. Right? So the only thing that could cause damage while it's at a burn rate of 0 is that any of this stuff here were to overflow, and then it fills up with, if one of these tanks fills up, it'll start taking damage. And it's green, so you know it's running, right? But yeah, the cool thing about it is that you can, when you click on the stats, this is where you can change your rate. So let's say right now, since the burn rate is set to 0, let's put it at 0.1. Oh wait, 0. Turns it off. 2 millibuckets. And my temperature is steady. It's pretty low. Now you're gonna get radiation coming out. I don't know if that's like a way, if there's a way of stopping that. But you notice though, the radiation isn't like it was where I had all the radiation particles all the way out. It's limited to right near the reactor. I'm assuming that you don't take radiation damage as long as it's not, particles aren't going everywhere. And I don't know if there's some kind of tubes or anything that you can use to stop that from leaking out. There might be. Or maybe you can put it in a barrel or something. But yeah, you're going to slowly see, I'm going to get polonium. In this case, it's plutonium, and then this side, it's going to be polonium. When it reaches 1,000, which it's going to take a while because it's splitting it off. Oh, also, it's nighttime now, so like I said, the solar neutron activator isn't even running. Now, I was going back and forth. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. That might be why it blew up, was because it didn't form fast enough and it was already in the middle of taking damage. I'm not 100% sure. But you get the idea. That's how you get the reactor to go. You get the reactor high enough in temperature and it creates steam. The steam will start building up. You'll see it kind of looking cloudy in here. And you'll start getting steam build up. Now, it'll reach a certain amount for how much heat you have, right? So if I increase the temperature and the burn rate on the fission reactor, I increase the amount of steam. The steam will push a lot faster, and I'll get more energy. Right now, I'm producing 14.27. Well, that's actually 14 kilowatts, bunch of kilovolts, or whatever you want to call it, KFE, forge energy. And I think you can change what it says, right? And because I have it at idle, it's just going to continually go up. I don't have a lot of power needs right now. This thing right here is still filling, I think. Yeah, you can see it's slowly increasing, so I'm gaining. Even though I'm losing a lot, it's going out because the machines are running. I'm also slowly gaining my total battery amount. I don't think I'll ever see that full. I mean, maybe, probably not. So that's basically it, guys. I know that's a lot of stuff, and you might want to see me build some of this stuff. If you want to see me just make a video just about building these things, I could do quick ones too, like 10-minute videos. Like, all right, here's Mechanism's turbine, right? And then I can just show you the turbine being built. But I'm kind of tired of building these things over and over again. Um, and this thing right here really should turn off if the temperature ever changes. But the temperature is steady. So again, I don't really understand what it was that happened. I'm assuming that the water didn't flow from the pipe Z and it didn't reattach properly. And so it then ran out of water, and then of course it turned off. But this is a pretty safe. I say that I shouldn't say that. This is a pretty safe reactor, but we're about to make it less safe. We're gonna keep going and see what we can push out of this thing real quick, because this is the only video. This is the thing. This is the video. I'm not doing anything else. Just this, guys, for this video. All right, see, it's at 14,990. Let's go ahead and see if we can take her up a little bit more. We'll take her to 5. And the temperature it's still steady. And now it's at 24,989 and bouncing. Hey, nice. I have my infinity. There, infinity cells. Let's see, that one's endstone. Sweet. I want to start another one. Do I have the netherrack already? I don't want to make another one if I don't need it. Oh, I do. I already have the netherrack. All right, so we got the infinity endstone. That took a while. The daytime comes, this thing will start running. I'm thinking maybe that as long as this one's running, it shouldn't overflow. But as long as I'm right here watching it, it should be okay. The fact that the daytime, I hope it's nighttime right now. So during the daytime, it should produce polonium and plutonium, which are what I needed to make the Nexium, whatever you want to call that thing, the Nexium dish antenna. All right, we can push this up a little bit more. How about that? Just, I know I shouldn't be doing that, but I'm really curious to see if I can push this even faster, because I still have to wait for this to flow, this heavy water. I guess I could cover that real quick. So this is an electric pump. It's just an electric pump over one single block of water. It's just a block of water. It's nothing special. It doesn't work over a sink or anything like that. It's just a block of water. So any source block of water, you put this above it, and you have to include in it this filter. Okay, this is a filter upgrade, and it just simply separates heavy water from regular water. And I'm not going to go into what that means, but you got your speed upgrades and your energy upgrades, which I put in almost everything is fully done like that. So you kind of get the idea what that does, as I just have it pumping into this giant tank, and the tank holds an absolutely huge amount of fluids. And then I have that going into here, which it's an electrolytic separator, right? So it's going to take this chemical and split it into two. I need I need another entangloporter because it's producing something that I want, right? Okay, so this is producing oxygen and deuterium. Or D fuel is what I call it. So deuterium, and that deuterium is then being sent. I think it's over here. No, over here. No, crap! I forgot where I put it. Oh yeah, it's right here. No, I guess I'm not even using deuterium yet. Well, let's set this up. Put it on the ground. Blank, blank, blank. Now pick it up. Well, let's call it. Let's change it to oxygen because I want to use the oxygen. That's why it's not creating any more deuterium. Set. And so what's going on is this is full, and I can either dump it or I can use it. And I'm going to use it. So put it right there. Set this for output 2. Oh, I better set this for allowing input. No? Oh, yeah, there we go. So now this thing can run because it's got the two chemicals towing in two different directions, and that'll get us deuterium. And these have a big buffer inside of them, and that's what's filling up in here is just a buffer with inside the quantums. Right, so this oxygen's connected to the other oxygen, so we're getting two sources of oxygen now. How are we doing? Temperature's still fine. The burn rate's still fine. Looks like we're doing good. This is now full. However, it's starting to become daylight, right? Yeah, we're at sunrise, so this will start kicking on. I do believe I maxed out its upgrades. Well, it doesn't have any upgrades. Never mind. So this thing will kick on, and it'll start. There it goes. You see the laser? The little green bar thing? So now it's actually that fast. And that is going down this pipe here, and we're creating polonium. Kind of neat. Kind of neat. This one's always running because it uses this centrifuge. And that's it, guys. And this should be able to run forever. I shouldn't have to worry about it. How are we doing on time? I think we're out of time. Yeah, we're over time. I just wanted to make sure that since the last video was such a mess, I was really I felt horrible about it. So, yeah, look at that go. We are really going. It's not even taking anything in, really, which is weird. Anyway, this is making a difference by a little bit. Let's go ahead and, before the video ends, let's go ahead and crank this up a little and see if we can have it start to affect the temperature. We'll put it at 6. Apparently that's where it was at, was 6. And it's talking about boil efficiency of 0.583. I don't know what the heck that's about. Basically, we're creating a giant heater. That's it. You're creating a nuclear heater, which is what reactors are. Nothing extra. Nothing extra. All right. What about 7? Okay, still stable. Water stable. Okay, 8, which is higher than I've ever had it. Temperature is still stable. Coolant still stable. For right now. Hopefully it kicks off if it needs to. All right, now we're pushing in 39,000, and we're really kicking up the energy now. 57,000 KFE a tick. That's a good amount of juice. That's enough to run a lot. So if you wanted a lot of energy early on in the game, getting one of these reactors going is really, really, really nice. But we're gonna play risky games with this, and we're gonna run 9 millibuckets. Temperature stable, water still stable. Yes. Okay. 64K. And we're pushing up the heat quite a bit. And the reactivity is going up higher. Radioactivity is definitely going up now. So that's fascinating. It shows that. That's great. Yeah. All right. And I'm gonna not risk any more than that. If you want to see me take it up as high as it'll go, I will. But as soon as I turn it off, you'll see the steam start running down. The amount of energy it's producing goes down, and the speed at which this is filling up goes down as well. But it's still going up. All right. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. I apologize. The last video was so erratic and so me just getting all frustrated. That's not me. Just was rushed. Had a lot of stuff going on. Thanks for stopping by, y'all. Mekanism, you're still what the best machine mod I think of now. Pretty much every time I play modded Minecraft, it used to be Ender IO and Thermal. It really was. Ender IO has the best sag mill, is the best crusher, and it may still be considered the best crusher by some. But to me, it's easier to run a Mekanism, and it's just as powerful, and in so many ways. Once we get the mech suit, which is coming up, we're going to be doing the mech suit real soon. In fact, next episode, I hopefully I'm going to set that up right after this video. I'm just going to jump into doing it, and then I'm going to start showing you guys that. Okay, bye bye.